Hey, this is the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, and you are listening to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. I'm your host, Louis Carlin, and we're part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Network, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, and I'm very excited today. We have a very, very special guest. You've seen my next guest on Impact Wrestling, Destiny Wrestling, Alpha One Wrestling, Barry, PWA, and Progress Wrestling. Please help me welcome the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. Josh, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. I want to just go right into Bad Intentions, cause I was at the card. I was there in the front row. I saw the match. I just want to talk about Bad Intentions for a little bit, cause that was a brutal steel cage match with Sami Callihan. When he hit you with that garbage can, you were busted open pretty bad. How did you feel at the initial hit of that garbage can? What was going through your mind?
Honestly, the hit of the garbage can was nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Like your body kind of just absorbs it, right?
Okay.
It wasn't until maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds later. There's video clips that have gone around. You can see it on the match if you watch it on the GWN network. But you just see me kind of like look to the side and I look down and I go, what's going on? Because I just feel warm running down my head. And then you see me reach up and I stick my finger in the hole that's in my skull.
Oh my gosh.
In the flap, and then I realized, oh yeah, I got this giant hole in my head now and it's bleeding pretty good. But like most people in that situation, they go into shock, they start to panic, all this stuff. But like, I don't know if it's because I had a couple mountain biking accidents when I was in high school. It was like in extreme sports and stuff like that. And like I've had some injuries occur and like, I don't know, I found that keeping calm always works out in my benefit, so like I didn't lose my cool at all.
Okay.
And you could also chalk it up to all the adrenaline you have in the moment of something like that, a big cage match.
Sure. Now you lost a hell of a lot of blood. I mean, watching the match, there's pools of blood in the ring, and I know George the Iceman. He ran to the front door. He looked legitimately concerned. He was running back and forth. So you went to the hospital. How many stitches did you have to get for that?
It was just 8 stitches.
8 stitches. Wow. So that was, the garbage can hit the headpiece. That's what caused the cut?
No. Like a garbage can is made of a flat piece of metal that they roll into a cylinder, right? Okay. So there's a seam somewhere going vertically on that thing. Okay. And I just got hit with the seam, so as soon as it bent, it kind of opened up the edge of the steel. And that cut in, hit my skull, and then went up a little bit, so it made a big flap in the top of my head.
Oh, jeez. Oh, well, yeah, I was there. I was with a friend of mine who's not a professional wrestling fan, but I didn't want to go by myself, so I dragged him along. But he told me that match has made him a professional wrestling fan. So, and his name is David. He wanted me to thank you. I told him I was interviewing you today, so he wanted me to thank you for making him a professional wrestling fan.
You let him know that hearing stuff like that actually puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, so. No, I mean, he's not a fan. He's like, that match right there. He loved the whole card, but your match with Sami Callihan made him a pro wrestling fan. So you have a terrific nickname. I absolutely love it, the Walking Weapon. I was wondering, how did that nickname originate? When did you first become the Walking Weapon?
Are you familiar with Ethan Page?
I sure am, yes. Ego,
he's my
Ethan
tag team
Page.
partner, best friend. He's kind of the creative genius behind that. I didn't have a moniker for a while. He was all ego, and I just started breaking out in the States. This is about 6-7 years ago now. Okay. And I started breaking out at all the bigger promotions in the States, and everybody had a moniker. Everybody had something I could put on a T-shirt and sell a T-shirt. And I didn't have anything like that, and we were just driving. It was like 9 hours into a drive home from Chicago, and we're both exhausted and delirious. And he goes, "Man, you're the Walking Weapon." I was like, "What?" And he was just like you, the way he described it was like Jason Bourne in the movies, how like he's good at everything. Like the way he describes me, even when we tag team, like if it's a luchador, I can keep up with any high flyer and any like lightweight there is. Like I'm fast, like powerhouse, I'm good. Strikes, I can do all that. So he's just like every aspect of wrestling you're good at. Like you're just the Walking Weapon, man. Everything you do is intense. Like people come up to me all the time and they say, "Man, like I know that the stuff I saw wasn't real, but like you made me think like everything I was seeing was real. So like Ethan Page stuck that with me, and like, yeah, it's been with me ever since, like 6-7 years now.
Wow, that's a terrific nickname. And I know you were a tag team with Ethan, the Monster Mafia. You've been a tag team for quite some time. How did that team originate? Was it through friendship, or how did you guys get together and become the Monster Mafia?
We were best friends, and then we actually just looked at each other and we were like, like Ethan Page at the time, he was amazing at promos, but his wrestling was like, it was good. It wasn't amazing. And me, I was amazing at wrestling, and my promos were like good, if that. Mm-hmm. So we figured we complement each other really well, and we looked at the landscape of independent professional wrestling, and at the time it was just like the Young Bucks were the only actual full-time team that you'd see popping up on cards. So we figured the best way for us to get to PWG or Ring of Honor or any of this way is to become a real tag team. So that's what we did. And we succeeded at it, so.
All right, great stuff, man. I know you were, you guys were in Ring of Honor for a little bit. I know you had the neck injury, and I don't know if, I guess you could say you had gotten injured, I think in a match with Matt Sydal, and I can't remember his partner, but if you could go back and do it again, would you do it differently if you could go back and go back to Ring of Honor a few years back and just go back?
I mean, I would do like the things that got me injured differently for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But other than that, no, like I have no regrets about how my career's gone so far. So like Ring of Honor, it was a blast when I was there. Like sure. I'm sure I might have the opportunity to go back one day, but like, it's just all, the injuries and stuff, that's all part of wrestling. Like sure. I consider myself very fortunate because other than my neck, I really haven't had any serious injuries, knock on wood. Most people are suffering from a broken leg here, a torn shoulder here, all this little stuff. And like anything I've had injuries over the years, but it's all stuff that I can work through.
All right. Awesome, man.
Without having to take a long time off.
Yeah, man. Because I know you had the neck surgery, so that's why I was alluding to is just if you could do the injury portion over again, if you do it differently. Now you've been on a number of Impact Wrestling cards. Actually, your match with Callihan at Zero Fear I thought was a tremendous match as well. Any talk of possibly maybe signing with Impact Wrestling? Because personally, I feel you would be a great addition to the Impact Wrestling roster. Any inkling at all that they might want to bring you aboard full time?
I don't think I'm breaking any big news here, but no, I've had zero talks with anybody at Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
So
I
appreciate that. I would be open to everything, obviously, but no, it's just I show up, I do my job, and that's been it so far.
Yeah, because when Eli Drake started his open challenge, I immediately thought, man, I hope Josh Alexander answers his open challenge sooner or later. I know we had Stone Rockwell answering it, but I got my fingers crossed that you'll be answering it one day.
I'll never say never, but
yeah,
as for right now,
All right, and also another promotion that I think you'll be really good in. I don't know if I'm sure you've thought about going there. New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it's my absolute favorite promotion. Suzuki, Goto, Okada, Naito. I think you would have great matches with those guys. Any aspirations of going to New Japan?
That's my absolute dream. Like where most people are dreaming of going to WWE, my dream is for New Japan. Like that would be the ultimate goal. That would be the ultimate achievement. All that style of wrestling, like all the guys that are there right now, like that's what I'm a fan of right now. I've been a fan of the Japanese style for so long. Like I think that's where, like when I say like the Canadian strong style thing just isn't a brand, like I consider myself to work a wrestling match a completely different way than most people do around here or are capable of around here. And that's like kind of my way of bringing a Japanese style, like that old dungeon style from Calgary, since I was trained by somebody that was trained in the dungeon by Stu Hart. That style, the Dynamite Kids, the Chris Benoit's, that stuff back to Canadian wrestling. So like New Japan 100% would be the dream of mine.
So if you got a phone call and they said, Josh, we want you to go to New Japan, and you could pick any opponent, who would be your first opponent in New Japan right now?
Oof, that's a tough one. See, I would like my favorite guy to watch is Ishii.
Okay.
But I'd have to probably pick Naito.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of Naito.
He's great. I think
I don't think he can have a bad match. Like,
yeah, no, I've never seen a bad Naito match. I would love to see you a 1-on-1 against Minoru Suzuki. I think that would be tremendous. I think it would be a really intense match. But if that, I'm sure it'll happen one day. But I would love to see that, Josh. Even Goto, let's see against Goto, and it's even Tanahashi would be. I think anybody. I would love to see. I would just love to see in New Japan. Let's leave it at that.
Well, everybody there. I wrestled Sanada maybe 5 years ago now.
Okay.
Right before he signed with New Japan, and like even to see where he's at now, like it's amazing. Like I wrestled Evil before he was Evil in New Japan. Like I've been able to be in the ring with some of these guys before they get to that stage, and then when they get to that stage, like they say, like you strap a rocket to the guys, and like they just become something completely different. And, like Evil and Sanada, like they're amazing.
Absolutely.
But like when I was in the ring with them before, like they just didn't have that same allure or pizzazz as they have now, right?
No, absolutely. Like I said, it's definitely my favorite promotion. Definitely my favorite promotion, and I look forward to seeing you there one day. Now I just want to go back in time. I was doing a little research, and I was reading that as a young kid you mentioned that you were overweight, you were a little depressed, until you discovered wrestling. So what was it about wrestling that attracted you to it?
Oh man, that you might have stumped me. Maybe it was the physicality of it.
Okay.
But like it was everything. It was a combination of the theatrics mixed with like the physicality. And then guy had a trampoline at the time, and I go outside and I had a wrestling buddy, and I would wrestle my wrestling buddy because I lived in the middle of nowhere. There was no friends around. I was an only child. So like I had to entertain myself, and like I remember I had WCW Uncensored 97, and I rented it from Jumbo Video, and I just never gave it back.
Okay.
I would watch that thing every day after school, and it was like, I think it was Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero opened it up.
Yeah.
And like, that drew me in. And then like seeing Sting, and I was a huge fan of the Crow movie at the time.
Okay.
Like, that drew me in even more, and like, it was just, I can't even describe it. Like, I've been drawn to wrestling ever since that moment in my life. And like, as I said, like it helped me become a man. It helped me grow confidence. It changed everything about me. Like I would not be nearly as successful as I am in real life without wrestling. And, but like to say what drew me to it, I have no idea. I just think it was like meant to be.
So, okay, so you decided that, okay, I want to pursue this as a career. I want to be a professional wrestler. So who or where did you seek out your initial training? Who trained you, or what wrestling school did you go to?
I went to like really a school it was just a ring, and it was kind of, you pay $100 and you get in there and you just mess around with everybody and you kind of teach yourself for a year.
Okay.
And after that, I was wrestling shows already. Like Michael Elgin and me at the time were on like every show as like the newer two guys that were like really doing good stuff for new guys. And Hotshot Johnny Devine, who was X Division champion at the time, he opened up a school in Ontario and he had tryouts for it. So I went to the tryouts and I made the cut, and like me and 3 other people made the cut. And he trained us for a year and he retrained me. And I give him all the credit in the world for giving me the tools that have made me successful so far. So, yeah. So
when you finally decided that, I'm going to make my debut, I'm ready, what were you thinking the first time you were about to walk through that curtain and hit the ring, again, for the first time? Were there butterflies, or were you nervous, or what was the feeling when you were about to hit that ring?
I didn't want to do it. I was forced into it. I started training November 5th, 2005. And I just know that because it's coming up soon. Okay. I always know that. And my wife's birthday is the day before. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
And I remember there was a Christmas show for like the student show, and it was like December 14th or something, and somebody backed out of it and they made me fill the spot. So I'd only been training for 4 or 5 weeks at the time. So they just kind of put me out there because in the first 5 weeks, like I'd been there every single day for 3 hours. I'd be there before everybody, after everybody. And they were like, if anybody's going to fill the spot, it's got to be this guy. And like, I was just petrified. Like I never even thought I was going to have a match when I signed up for this school. Like I just wanted to be able to like get in a ring and feel what the ropes were like. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So my first experience, like it was a 4-way tag match. It was 45 minutes long and I was terrified the entire time.
Okay, man. So did you win the match? Do you remember or no?
I did actually.
Okay.
I did, surprisingly. Me and my tag team partner won the match.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, like, who were some of your favorite opponents, early on? Like, I'm sure you've wrestled a few people that you've learned a little more from in the ring, but early on, who would you say are some of your favorite opponents?
Well, I really cut my teeth and, like, learned a lot wrestling guys like, Hacker Scotty O'Shea.
Okay.
Alessandro Del Bruno, Ethan Page, Psycho Mike Rollins, and I would say Michael Elgin. Me and him, like, I learned more wrestling Michael Elgin than anybody. So, like, we all came up at the same time. I've wrestled every guy I just named probably at least 30 to 50 times.
Okay.
So, like, that'd be the crew.
Okay, and I know we were talking about New Japan a little earlier. You mentioned some opponents. I was going to ask you, who are some of your dream opponents? I'm sure there are some guys in New Japan that we mentioned, but is there anybody else that we haven't mentioned that you would like to face that you've never faced before?
Oh, I've never faced before. I could pick the whole roster there.
Okay.
Like the Omegas and the Okadas
sure,
and so on and so forth. Like you can name as high as you want. But like my dream opponent for a New Japan, honestly, I think me and Elgin could have one of the craziest matches anybody's ever seen if it's just on that big stage. Because we've had some of the most insane matches like Canada's ever seen on small indies in front of 30 people or in front of 350 people at Destiny.
Okay.
But like if you put us in front of thousands of people in like a Tokyo Dome, and we do that, like, I just think it'd be crazy.
Oh my gosh. You got me excited just thinking about that, man. Yeah, I hope that happens one day. Hope that, I know I said it earlier, and I might have said it more than once, but I think you would be fantastic in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Tyson Dukes has a wrestling school and he does a really good job. He's been around for a long time. Have you ever thought about maybe, opening up a wrestling school or training school eventually? How do you think you would be a good trainer?
Yeah, I really love training. I like, there's a couple people around Ontario, like I don't have a school, but I really help them out whenever I can before shows or I have matches with them and I really try to teach them stuff. As of right now, like I have a ring. I'm looking for a facility to put it in.
Okay. That
is cost effective so that I can start a school, but
okay.
Just finding that piece of real estate is kind of tough. Okay. So the second I find that, I will have a school, but.
All right. There you go, man.
Yeah.
Now you wrestled in the UK for Progress. I think it was for one match, I believe. What was that experience like? And I'm sure you hope, that you're able to go back there one day.
Yeah, I would love to go back. It was an insane experience. I got to share it with the besties in the world, Davey Vega and Matt Fitchett. They're great guys that I've kind of been around for the past 6 years. And we got to do it against British Strong Style in their like home promotion. So I've been to PWG. I've been in Ring of Honor and crazy venues. That was just another, like, that was PWG of England. Like, the crowd loves wrestling. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a treat to get in front of crowds like that. Same with like Destiny. They've kind of built up this crowd that like, it's really a treat to be in front of crowds like that because they appreciate wrestling. Sometimes you get in front of crowds and it's parents that bring their kids and like the parents don't want to be there and there's not that many people there. So like, it's a little bit tougher, but like being in front of crowds like that, just make it easy.
Yeah, like I said earlier, my friend didn't want to come, and I dragged him along, and now he, I used to live in, Newmarket, Ontario, but I've moved out to Windsor, but he keeps calling me up saying, when are you coming back? We gotta get to another Destiny show. And he's never asked me that before, so it's always good to bring somebody along and, turn him into a wrestling fan. But speaking of Windsor, Border City Wrestling, the 25th anniversary show, you're not booked on that show by chance, are you?
I am not.
Okay.
I've only been on one Border City show in my 13-year career. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying because I'm going to be at the show, so I wasn't sure if you were booked on that show because I know they just brought in David Arquette, I believe.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll be in Sarnia the night before.
Okay, yeah, no, that's that's right. That's Destiny. Who's your opponent on the night before, October 6th?
I'm yet to know. Has not been announced, okay. And I honestly have no idea. If I knew, I would tell you.
Okay, and I know you got that big match coming up with Pete Dunne. You're the number one contender for the Destiny title. Thoughts and prediction on that match?
Well, I would have to predict that I'm going to win.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
You know, that if I went in saying anything else, I could be cutting myself short. I think.
Of course, I know, man. I'd love to see you defeat Pete Dunne and become the new Destiny world champion. Unfortunately, I'd love to get to that show, but I'm out here in Windsor, so I won't be able to get to the show, and I don't think it's going to be on televised anywhere. So hopefully, I could catch the match. I really, really want to see that match. So I know you're a family man. I know you have kids. You mentioned you have a wife. So is it difficult to juggle the life of a family man and a professional wrestler?
It's difficult in the sense that you don't have as much family time. Like most normal individuals would have a weekend where they can spend time with their children and their wife. Me, I have to make the most of the time I have during the week because on weekends I'm running like crazy most times, right? But
Sure.
Like my wife, she's been in wrestling for 15, 16, 17, probably 20 years.
Okay.
I don't want to sell it short, but
Okay.
She's been in wrestling for a long time. She loves wrestling just as much as I do, and like I couldn't imagine being married to anybody else because of that. Like she understands wrestling and my passion for it. You know what I mean? And I trust me. I've been in a ton of relationships before I met my wife where people I was in a relationship with did not understand that this is what made me happy, and like this is what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, that's great, man. You have great looking kids also. I see the pictures that you post on Facebook. Great looking kids. I think you posted one with an Ewok, which was, that was a cool picture. But before we get going, the show's gonna air maybe in a few days. Anything you want to plug? I know we spoke about, Destiny at Sarnia, but, I know you have a number of shows coming up. Any shows you want to plug? Any social media pages you want to plug before we, wrap this up?
Well, just for the recency thing, this will go up in a few days. Saturday, September 29th, I will be in Kitchener for Crossbody Pro Wrestling. Also, October 7th at Destiny card, we were talking about my match with Pete Dunne, number one contendership for that Destiny Heavyweight Championship. That's a huge show.
Okie doke.
And October 21st, Alpha One Wrestling has an pay-per-view. If you can't make it to Hamilton to see that show, I would check it out on Powerbomb TV Live pay-per-view because I'm going one-on-one with DJZ and I'm defending my alpha male title. I think DJZ is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and just nobody knows it yet. But like he just made it to Bola this year, so I think people are finally going to figure it out. He's been amazing for like a decade now, so I'm really excited to step foot in the ring for the first time. Yeah,
that should be a tremendous. I'm a big fan of DJZ. Back when he was Zima Ion, but you don't need to convince me. I know he's a great wrestler. I hope to get to see that match. I hope it's you said that will that match be on Powerbomb TV as well?
Yeah, it'll be on Powerbomb Live. They're doing a live stream,
awesome.
pay-per-view. It's the second one Alpha One's done. The first one they did, like, it was seamless. They had no issues whatsoever. So, like,
okay.
I think Powerbomb's done a bunch of live ones, especially for their shows. And, like, they've never had an issue. I know a lot of people are kind of weary about the live streams because I know in the past, like, I think WWN had some issues and stuff like that. But, like, Powerbomb, they've been flawless so far. So I would really urge people to check that out because Alpha One's doing good stuff. And me and DJZ are gonna do something special. So
yeah, you guys are gonna absolutely tear it up, man. I'm definitely gonna get that. I'm gonna order it. I'm looking forward to that match. And I want to thank you again for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you, and hopefully I can have you on again someday.
Yeah, man, anytime. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Well, this has been the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. I'm your host, Louis Carlin. I want to thank my guest again, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. And until next time, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. And as always, stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye-bye.